Hey guys, welcome back to my math class. Today we will be rounding numbers. Good. So when we think of rounding numbers, we think of creating an approximate value of that number. By approximate, I means about, almost the same. So approximation is not the exact, it is almost. So when we round, we either go up with our number or we go down. What do I mean by that? Let's say I have 198 marbles. Think about that. I would be very close to 200 marbles. I'd only need two more to have 200 marbles. So if I am going to create an approximation, I am going to say I have almost or I have approximately 200 marbles. I would not go down and say I have approximately 100 because 100 would be way too small. So I would go up and say I have approximately 200 marbles. Now that's basically what we do when we're rounding numbers. But as I go, I'm going to filter in the rules so you really understand what it is saying. So here it says 5 or more soar, and I have 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and I have add 1. Less than 5 rest, 1, 2, 3, 4 stays the same. So you'll notice that I draw my place value chart. If you can do it without the place value chart, fine. If it's hard for you to do it without the place value chart, draw it. All right, so the first one says we are rounding some numbers to the nearest 10. And we have 3 different numbers. So we are going to start with the first one, which is 363. Step 1, if you're using a place value chart, put 363 on the chart. So we have 1, 2, 3 digits, 1, 2, 3 places. So I'm starting here, 6, 3. That's my 363. The next step is to identify the digit that is in the place that it asks you to round to. So it asks you to round to the nearest tens. So this is why I put it on the chart. It's easy for you to identify which digit is in the tens place. It is 6. So I'm underlining 6. Then any digit that is in front of that digit that you underline, either you circle or you put a box around it. Whatever you choose is fine. So I prefer to box, so I box mine. Now, I call this the bossy neighbor. What do I call it? The bossy neighbor. Now, the bossy neighbor gives all the rules. He or she tells the digit that you underline what to do. And this is where the rule comes in. So this bossy neighbor is a 3. Up here it says if the bossy neighbor is a 3, meaning if it's less than 5, so the digits or the numbers that are less than 5 are 1, 2, 3, 4. So if the one that you box is less than 5, it tells the one that you underline to relax, just rest, meaning it stays the same. So let me go again. This is the boss. The boss tells this one what to do. So if the boss is less than 5, meaning 1, 2, 3, or 4, it tells this one to relax, to rest, don't change, stay the same. All right? So we're going to do that. Now, this digit will always stay the same. Anything behind the one that you underline, so the one you underline is here, anything on this side will stay the same. So this is still 3. The boss tells this one to stay the same, so it's still 6, but the boss will always change to 0. Remember, the boss will always give the rule and then changes to 0. So when we round 363 to the nearest tens, it becomes 360. Let's look at this one. All right, 7,658. 1, 2, 3, 4 places. So 7, 6, 5, 8. Again, we're looking for the digit in the tens place because these three we're rounding to the nearest tens. Which digit is in the tens place? Again, the chart makes it so easy. So it's our 5. So I'm putting a line under it. Once I find that digit, I underline it. Then I look for its neighbor and I put a box around it. Remember, this is the boss. It is going to tell the one you underline what to do. So my boss here is 8. Over here, it says 5 or more. And by 5 or more, it means 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So if the digit that you box is 5 or more than 5, it tells this one to soar. And when it tells it to soar, it means that it needs to add 1 to itself. So the boss, which is 8, is telling me to add 1 to this 5. Remember, anything on the left side of the one that you underline stays the same. So this is still 7, this is still 6. This one, the boss tells it to add 1, so 5 plus 1 more is 6. And the boss always does what? Always change to 0. So when 7,658 is rounded to the nearest tens, it becomes 7,660. All right, 6,124. 4 digits. So I'm counting 1, 2, 3, 4. 6,124. Now I'm still rounding to the nearest tens, so I'm finding the digit in the tens place, which is 2. Remember, once you find it, put a line under it. Then, what do we do next? Yes, look for the boss, that bossy neighbor that wants to give all the rules, and put a box around him because later on, we're going to change him to 0. All right, so here the boss is a 4. What do we do, or what does the boss tell this one to do when it's a 4? It says less than 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Once it's less than 5, it tells it to rest or to stay the same. So it means that this 2 is going to stay the same. So remember, everything to the left always stay the same. This boss tells the 2 to stay the same, but we're going to change this boss to a 0. So 6,124 rounded to the nearest tens is 6,120. Let's move on. Now we are going to round to the nearest 100. So let's underline that. And then we're going to put the numbers on the chart. 3,142, that's 4 digits. 1, 2, 3, 4. 3,142. We're rounding to the nearest hundreds, yes. So we are going to find the digit in the hundreds, please. Good job. And we underline it. Now we're going to find the boss. The boss is always the one immediately in front of the one we underline. So put a box around him. So even though this is in the ones column, this is not the boss this time. It's the nearest neighbor to the right. That is the boss. All right? So a while ago, we were boxing the one in the ones column because we were looking at the digit in the tens column. Now we're looking at the digit in the hundreds column, so we box the one in the tens column. But look what's going to happen. Remember, everything to the left of the one that we underline always stay the same. So you can go ahead and write it back. It's going to remain the same. Now this is going to tell the one what to do because this is the boss. So it is 4. I guess it falls here because it is less than 5. And I like to write out the digits Because sometimes when you say less than 4, you less than 5, you don't even remember that 4 is less than 5 as a child. You don't remember sometimes. So I like to write them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. All right? So this 4 is telling the 1, just relax. Just rest. Don't do anything to yourself. So the 1 is going to stay the same. And the boss always, say it with me, the boss always change to 0. So we're changing that boss to 0. But guess what? This digit to the right also changes to 0. So again, we look at the digit that we underline. Everything on the left side of it will always remain the same. The boss tells this one what to do. The boss changes to 0, and everything to the right also changes to 0. You just have to remember those little rules. All right, so 3,142 rounded to the nearest 100 becomes 3,100. Let's try the other one. Okay, so this one says 6,785. Remember, if you don't know where to put your digits, count your places. Then we're rounding to the nearest 100. Shout it out. Which digit am I underlining? Say it loud. Yes, I'm underlining the 7 because it's in the hundreds place. Which one am I boxing? Of course, I'm boxing the 8 because it is the closest neighbor to the right. Now, this bossy neighbor gets to dictate to the 7. It gets to tell the 7 what to do. But remember, everything to the left will stay the same, so we can write our 6 already. Now, this is 8. Where would we find 8? Would we find it over less than 5, or would we find it at 5 or more? Of course, we'd find it at 5 or more. What does 5 or more say? 5 or more says the 7 should soar. What does that mean? It means that we should add 1 to the 7. So 7 plus 1 more equals 8. And then the boss always changed to 0. And then remember, the other digits to the right also change to 0. In this case, changes to 0 because it's 1. So 6,785 rounded to the nearest 100 is 6,800. All right, I want you to pause the camera and to try this one. 685 rounded to the nearest 100. Put it on your chart and go ahead and try to do it on your own. 865. Go ahead. All right, pause your video if you're not done, and then you come back to see the answer. All right, 865. I hope you underline the 8 because it is in the hundreds place. And again, we're boxing that bossy neighbor. The bossy neighbor will tell this 8 what to do. There's nothing in the thousands place, so we don't have to focus on what will remain the same. So here, the boss is 6. Where would we find 6? Less than 5? No, we'd find it at 5 or more. What does 5 or more say? It should soar. Soar means it should add 1. So we're adding 1 to the 8. 8 plus 1 is 9. The boss becomes 0, and everything to the right of it becomes 0. So when we round 865 to the nearest 100, it becomes 900. So notice we are rounding to the nearest 100, it becomes 900. Nearest 100, it becomes 6,800. 3,100, because you're rounding to the nearest 100. All right, quickly, let us look at some rounded to the nearest thousands, and that's going to be it for today. All right, so quickly, the first one, 6,482, it's 4 digits, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6,482. I'm rounding to the nearest 1,000, so I'm underlining the 6. Then I'm boxing the boss. The boss will tell the 6 what to do. Notice the boss is in the hundreds place now because we're looking at the thousands place. So the boss keeps coming over. So once we're looking at thousands place, the boss is going to be the nearest neighbor to the right, which is the hundreds place. I didn't realize I left off my S's there. All right, so this boss is 4, so it falls in the less than 5 slot. Meaning it's telling this 6 to take a break, just rest, don't do anything. So the 6 is going to remain the same. The boss changes to 0, and remember, these also change to 0. Everything to the right of the boss also change to 0. So 6,482 becomes 6,000. Notice that? 6,000. Run into the nearest thousand. 6,000. All right. Both of us, don't let me alone do the talking now. Both of us are talking. And then this one, it's on your own. So 7, 7, 8, 1. Go ahead. Let me hear you. What do I underline? This one? Oh, this one, because it is in the thousands, please. Good job. Which one do I box? Yes, I'm boxing 7. So the boss will tell the 7 to do what? Yes, it's telling it to add 1 because it falls over here. 5 or more, it says soar or add 1. So 7 plus 1, that's 8. What happened to the boss? Changes to 0. What happened to these? They also change to 0. So 7,781 rounded to the nearest thousand becomes 8,000. All right. Last one, and that's on you. So pause the video. Pause the video. 5396. Pause it and come back. All right. Again, nearest thousand. So we are underlining the 5. Box the bossy neighbor. The boss will tell the 5 what to do. Did you do that? If you did, let's dance. Okay. All right. So this boss is 3. It falls over here, less than 5. So it's telling this 5 to stay the same. So if you wrote 5, celebrate. Yes. So the 5 stays the same and everything else does what? Change to 0. Good job, guys. Good job. All right, so that's simply it. Use your place value chart. Underline the digit that they ask you to round it to. Box or circle that nosy, bossy neighbor to the right. And follow the rule. It's pretty simple. Now, remember, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. So like, don't keep it to yourself, share, and if your subscribe is still saying red or still showing red, please just click on it so that it changes to black or gray and subscribed. Thank you again. See you in our next video.